Okay, students, so today we're going to build on what we already know about unit conversion and speed calculations and create a graph of our responses or the answers that you got for the different speeds. And we'll sort that in order so that we can see what the trend is in a group of cars racing on the track and show who goes fastest, who goes slowest, and put it all in a nice, neat, and tidy order. So you should have in front of you two things right now. You should have the packet that's called Creating a Graph of Race Results. So this is a paper version of, and I'm going to walk you through it, so you'll have something in front of you also. You should also have Calculating Speed 3. You should have this one in front of you. And you're going to start with this. The first thing you need to do is go through this and do all of your calculations. If you can't remember exactly how to do these calculations, just refer back to the previous video that I put together for speed calculations 2, okay? For what I'm going to show you right now, I'm not going to give you the answers to this. I'm just going to make it all up, okay? But you'll do the calculations and you'll make sure that it all works. I'm not even going to use the same names here in the graph that I do. I'm just going to make it all up. But you'll use these names and the answers that you've come up with, always showing your work, right? Okay, so let's go back to our sheet on how to make this graph. Okay, we're going to be using a spreadsheet program called Microsoft Excel. So you can click on the little start button and type in Excel, EXC, and there it is right there popping up, okay? So we're going to open this. So this is a spreadsheet. Let's jump back over to our instructions. It says that we want to create 2 column titles, name and speed. So remember that columns are vertical, rows are horizontal in a spreadsheet. We're going to create 2 title heads for our columns. This one is going to be name, and this one is going to be speed. Now it says to fill in all the names and calculated race speeds. So you're going to fill in the names. The names are provided for you on Calculating Speed 3. They all start with the letter G. So you'll use all of these names, okay? Now let me back up and say that you won't be doing any of this until after you've completed all these calculations. You're not going to the computer just yet. Sit at your desk, you've got your calculator, you'll work through all of this, and when you are done, you're free to go over to the computer. But I don't want, I don't want people jumping the gun and just going straight to the computer, because that means that you haven't put in the work to actually complete the worksheet yet. Complete it before you go to the computer, okay? So we're going to fill in all the names and the calculated race speeds. This is where I'm going to make everything up. Calculating Speed 3, they all start with the letter G. I'm just going to make them all start with the letter M in this example. So we'll say I have Michael, I have Maggie, I have Minnie, Marva, I have Molly, I have Madeline, I have Maury, I have Murray, Monty, Missy, Melanie, Morgan, Mulner, there we go, and Mozzie, okay? Oops, I need one more. Merva. I had a Marva and a Merva. Let's not do Merva, let's do Mary. There we go. Okay, so I got 15 of my names. So when you go through all your calculations, you can just put them in this order. Okay, Jerry, and then you give his calculation, and Gary, and put his calculation. doesn't really matter the order that you input them here, okay? Now I'm going to pretend like I've done all these calculations and I'm just going to make up my speeds. I would like you to make sure that you've rounded the speed to the nearest tenth of a mile per hour. So here maybe I've got 17.8, maybe I've got 20.1, maybe I've got 10.5, maybe I've got 16.9, and all the way down, okay? And you'll just fill these in from your calculations. Making sure that you're showing all of your work on the sheet. Okay, there we go. I could probably here in my title, I can say speed and just put my units so I know that I'm dealing with miles per hour. That's nice and helpful. Yeah, don't put miles per hour, don't put any letters in these cells. These just have to be numbers, or what I'm about to show you doesn't really work. Okay? So, I've got this filled out. Let's jump back over to our instructions. Okay, we filled everything in. Now, we need to sort our data. Highlight everything including name and speed. Okay, so if I click and drag, I highlight everything. Only highlight your data. Don't highlight anything blank. Notice that it looks like name is not highlighted, but it is. It's just showing which cell we started with. If I started down here and highlighted up, see how it shows that that one, it looks like it's not highlighted, but it is because this black line goes around it. Okay, so highlight everything. Click on the Sort and Filter button, which is in the upper right-hand corner. Right there, Sort and Filter. We are going to do a custom sort. Okay, so we choose Custom Sort. We are going to sort by speed and order smallest to largest. Okay, sort by speed. Don't do anything with sort on. Just jump over to order, smallest to largest. Okay. Now, look what this did. If we look at our data, it put it in order from the smallest speed going right on up to the fastest speed. And it kept the name associated with the speed. So if I undo that, you'll see, okay, Madeline was at 25.3. Where's Madeline? Madeline 25.3. It kept them all associated with each other, which is what we want. We don't want the speed to get mixed up with the name. They're all still in order. Okay, data is just now arranged in ascending order. Okay, so here's what we want. While everything is highlighted, select Insert Bar. So everything's still selected. Well, let's select everything. There we go. Insert up at the top and bar graph. That's the kind of graph we're gonna create. Now it says that you can use a 2D bar graph or a 3D bar graph. Either one is fine. So 2D bar graph or a 3D bar graph. We're not doing cylinders, cones, and pyramids, okay? So I'll select a 2D bar graph. Stretch the top left corner of the graph big enough that you can see all the students' names across the left side of the graph. If we look at this graph, how many people did I have listed? I have 15. Are 15 people listed here? No, 15 people are not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So like half. What it's doing is because the graph's so small, it's only showing every other name. It is showing all 15 bars, but it's only showing every other name. So you've got to take that corner and kind of stretch it. Whoops, like that. Stretch it. Ah, yes, now it's showing all 15 names. Okay? Yeah. Okay, now we're going to do something with our x-axis down here that shows the speed. We're going to format that axis. So we're going to right-click along those numbers on the x-axis. So right down here at the bottom, we'll right-click, and we want to select this thing called Format Axis. So right down here, right-click, Format Axis. Oops. Where are my instructions? Here we go. Change the minimum and maximum to fixed, and insert values here told by Mr. Anderson. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. We're going to just change the minimum. We're actually not going to change the maximum. Just change the minimum to fixed. And now, if I look at this, I'm going to look at my smallest speed, which was 10.5, and I am going to make the fixed minimum value one less than my slowest car. So this was 10.5, so I'll make it 9.5. Now, remember that I just made up these numbers. These are not my actual calculations from Speed Calculation 3, which you are doing. So after you input all your data and you sort it, you'll look at your slowest one, and when you come in to format the axis, you'll make the minimum fixed and just make it one less than whatever your slowest was, okay? And then we can hit close. Now look what happened here. I'm going to undo this. We were starting with an axis that started at 0, and you know there's variation here, yes, but if we format it so that the axis actually starts closer to our slowest speed, now we see a lot more variation and we don't have kind of wasted space. This is kind of wasted here, so we'll format it. Okay, so we're now showing greater variation between the highest and the lowest speed. You're going to include your name in the title of the graph. Okay, so we click up here at the top. So I could just write my name, Mr. Anderson, speed in miles per hour. So you will include your name. Your name must be typed in the title. I do not accept just handwritten names on this sheet. You must include it typed. Okay, and we're going to select the graph and print it. So you will be printing off this graph. Now, some of you may have experience with using spreadsheets and creating graphs, and you'll go through here and you'll look at design things and colors and everything. We're only printing in black and white. I do not want you to change the background from white to any other color because it just wastes a bunch of ink. It's not going to print out in purple or red or green. It's going to print out in grayscale and black, but that just wastes ink. So please don't change that. Don't need to worry about changing the colors of the bars because it's not going to print out and show you color, okay? Now, if I click off of this, okay, if I go to print, the instructions said that I could hit Control P, and that is a shortcut for printing. So if I'm here and I hit Control P, here's a preview of what's about to print. Look, it's 2 pages. And one page just has this little piece on it, and the other page, the graph's really small, and it is showing my data set. This is incorrect. This is not what you want. So let's just come back into here. Make sure that you click on your graph. Notice that Chart Tools highlights when you're clicked on the graph. If you're clicked off the graph, you do not see that Chart Tools. So look for that, Chart Tools. Now hit Control P. Look at how nice this looks. It's only one page, and it takes up all of the space, and it's not showing my data set. I don't need to see the data set. Your data set is essentially, well, it is shown here, but it's in your packet also, okay, where you did your calculations. The 3 main things that I'm looking for with this graph is number 1, your name. Number 2, can I see all of the people who race their cars listed? And 3, did you format the axis? Those 3 things. Now obviously you need to have done your calculations correctly so that this all ends up in the right order. And I would maybe just double check with your neighbor, make sure that you're on track, that you've done the calculations correctly, but you must do your own work, show your own work. So you can hit print. You're printing to room A156 Todd. And when that prints off, you are going to staple this to your packet, not the instruction packet. This instruction packet is not yours. You'll return this to me and I'll use it in my other classes. You're going to staple it to calculating speed 3 with the graph on top, okay? With the completed graph on top of your data collection sheet, okay? So you'll turn that in, it'll be on top, it'll have your name on it. So I'll see your name and I'll see that you did all the work, and you're good to go. If you have questions about this, when you're at the computer, feel free to go back through this video, look through the packet, make sure you got everything correct. Good luck.